anime series has started about 40 years ago, hasn't it? For this anime, like this one here. 1981 was the same year. We have D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers and Ulysses 31, which everybody remembers the shows for their nostalgic memories fondly. Urusei Yatsura is the most well-known, acclaimed romantic comedy anime, which is based on the manga of the same name by Rumiko Takahashi. However, on the other hand, is that this series has spawned into a franchise of OVAs, movies, and the TV series, as well as video games as well. So we'll get to that in good time as well, because this is the first time I'm going to do a re-review on Urusei Yatsura here on Anime Retrospect, which I haven't thought of doing one before until now, because in honor of this anime's anniversary, because it's been 40 years since this was premiered on October 14th, 1981, around the same hour as D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers and Ulysses 31, which I mentioned earlier as well. Because let's get into the story on Urusei Yatsura. Okay, it's when the alien race named the Oni has arrived to Earth, though. They wanted to pick a person who is part of the game of tag as well. And they have selected a person named Ataru Moroboshi, who is a perverted, unsuccessful school student, though, who in a fictional town called Tomobiki Town, which is in the setting in Nerima, Japan, as how the story progresses in Urusei Yatsura goes. And then we see Sakurambu, or Cherry, thinks that he has the unlucky curse that is going to curse on him of how this goes as well. And then we get to see where the arrival of how his opponent is. And the first appearance is the character Lum herself as well. And that's basically how the game, he wanted to expect to see how Ataru has a lot to do for, particularly as how the story progresses as well, is that things is going quite well of how the story is. I might have mentioned it as well from how this goes, particularly. And the next up, you got the game of tag. Ataru tries to win after the game of tag in order to how he can marry someone. Especially when Shinobu, who is Ataru's girlfriend at first, encouraged Ataru to win the game of tag. But then, for all of a sudden, when Ataru starts stealing Lum's tiger stripe bikini top with a gun that is a plunger attached to it, because you guessed it, because he's basically his perverted manners of how Ataru's personality is. And then Ataru has grabbed onto her horns with his hands like this, and then he has won. And then he basically says that he shall marry of whoever he wanted to think. But then this encourages Lum of how she fell in love with Ataru. And this is how it's pissing off Shinobu, because she's starting to lose interest in Ataru, saying she thinking that Ataru wanted Lum than Shinobu instead. And that's how, if Ataru goes on girl hunting, whenever Ataru cheats on Lum, Lum uses her electrifying shocks, which will give Ataru what he's got, especially on his as a punishment whenever Ataru has his bad behavior, especially of what you see in Urusei Yatsura. And that wasn't long. And that's how the relationship, how Ataru had with Lum started when she had starting to fall in love with Ataru, as how the story progresses of how it goes in Urusei Yatsura, from how it works, which is almost had to expect of what is going on in this particular anime, like this, despite of how Ataru has a lack of what he had, especially when his lack of interest in Lum, which Ataru had a lot to do for, especially of how Ataru's flourishing with other women, which caught Lum's attention, especially in Urusei Yatsura. That is why how Ataru always has the infatuation with how he has with his influration with other women. That doesn't stop the fact though is that this caught Lum's attention, so Lum may use her electrifying shocks as Ataru's punishment, as how it goes. Especially when he goes out girl hunting, and when Ataru asks one of the girls, especially for their name, their address, or their birthday, or their phone number, especially when he has like a little notebook thing and his pencil as well, because that is how to learn of this. But sometimes Ataru really does care for Lum, especially in how, in the episode When You Are Gone, Ataru was searching for Lum all over across but that's how when Lum returns, especially in the episode When You've Been Gone, especially that episode had its moments, as well as those ribbons that sealed Lum's flying abilities, including her electrifying shocks as well. Ataru really does care for Lum, especially the moments what Ataru has with Lum as how it progresses. But this was long until she attends the Tomobiki school, like an Earth girl, in especially her school uniform as well. And then those boys, like Kaokugari, Chibi Perm, and Megane called themselves as when they were going gaga over Lum as well, especially when they referred to them as Lum's stormtroopers, especially these admirers as well, how it's intended as well, including the other ones, which is the rich boy who is scared of the dark, which is Shitaru Mendo. I mean, Lum's stormtroopers basically wanted to stop Ataru for thinks that Ataru's in love with Lum when they wanted to spread apart, but that doesn't stop Lum as well, because when nobody wants to hurt her darling as well, especially. P.S. This anime is gets all real than Darling in the Franxx, wasn't it? Speaking of which, there are other characters that who got angered for those who are in love with Lum first. You had Lum's ex-boyfriend, Ray, who is voiced by Tessho Genda, who is the voice of Porthos in D'Artagnan and the Three Muskhounds, because Lum has broken up with Ray at this part, because he doesn't even care for her, because all he does is he cares about his food. He was so jealous of Ataru, which enraged him. He becomes a creature which is a cross between a tiger and a bull as well. When he gets excited, when he misses Lum for no reason. quite odd reason, wasn't it? What you see, huh? And then you have other characters. Oyuki, who is the princess of Neptune. It's basically more different than the Yuki Onna, as well. You know, the Snow Woman in, you know, if you'll ever learn Japanese culture as well. Ran, who is one of Lum's childhood friends. She may be cute and sweethearted at first, but Ran basically has a violent, evil side. Especially if Ran has a violent and evil side, then this means Ran will be like an antagonist, as in a villain, an evil person. Ran is basically, especially her personality, especially when she has like a dark, violent, evil side, when she wants revenge on Lum for all the time, especially since her childhood, especially when she's always gets in trouble by her parents and for blaming on Lum for her during the childhood days. Always wants revenge all the fucking time, though. Especially if Ran has an evil side, violent evil side, then this means Ran is basically a villain. Take as for an example, Milady D. Winter from D'Artagnan and the Three Muskhounds, for example, as well. Speaking of which, you all know the story, because I know the story though. It's good and suburb for a love triangle with the use of romance, comedy, suburban life, and the use of popular culture references and Japanese literature references. You know, especially in the stories. You know, like the Tale of Genji and Urashima Taro as well, all coming together, all in surprises, especially for how this influence for Urusei Yatsura has a lot to do for, if you ever watch this series as well. Well, you all know the story in Urusei Yatsura, because you all know this. It's pretty good, though, because despite how I've heard good things about Urusei Yatsura, though, because you know what I mean, because we all know the story is, basically. Because the story may be great, though, if you want to get into some good ways of how you want to learn about this. I mean, the characters, we already mentioned it earlier, though. Oh, and also, because, you know, Shinobu, however, on the other hand, her personality, though, she may be nice at first, but when she grabs she uses, like, her superhuman strength, though, when she lifts up desks, when she throws them at Ataru, she could have got in trouble, and then she could have got sent to the principal's office for throwing a desk, especially her anger involving either Lum or Ataru. If Shinobu throws the desks at Ataru, then she would have got in trouble, and then Shinobu would have gotten in trouble by the teacher named Onsen Mark, and that means Shinobu would have got sent to the principal's office for throwing the chair at Ataru, because you know what I mean. Because that's the serious consequence. That's how, from what I understand, of how I'm learning the personalities on the characters. And then you had Sakura, who's basically the stone-faced school nurse, and she's also a shrine maiden as well. And she's also new that she's basically the school nurse, especially, besides of how she's still the shrine maiden as well in this particular anime. And then you had Lum's parents. I mean, though Lum's mother never learned the spoken Japanese, though, but in episode 57 she does speak Japanese as well, as from how the personality traits goes for this one as well. And I know there's some Christmas episodes in Urusei Yatsura, like Pitter Patter Christmas Eve. I mean, Megane wanted to get revenge on the Taru, though, but then the creepiest part, what Megane did when he was putting lipstick like it's a smile on it, that basically references the Joker from the Batman comics as well. And also you have other characters, Ryunosuke, who is, and her father, her father thinks that Ryunosuke's the boy though, but Ryunosuke said that she was a girl when they wanted to set up the Hamajaya thing at the beach thing as well. I mean, there is also an episode in Urusei Yatsura is where they wanted to have the gender changing ray gun in that when it happens on Ataru, and that's how Rumiko Takahashi got the idea of how to create Ranma half series as well. Well, the episode 18 of Urusei Yatsura is where, especially when Ran thinks that Lum has got Ray though, but that's how Lum broke up with Ray and during the childhood days as well. Yeah, episode 18 of Urusei Yatsura was aired on March 3rd, 1982. I think this was around the same hour as D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers and Ulysses 31. Thank God for these two for that as well. Again, several things. Back to Urusei Yatsura. I mean, the cast in here, we all know the characters already though, because you know what they are as well if you ever learned about those. And the music is good. I mean, the theme song, Lum No Love Song, is basically how it's the first Urusei Yatsura opening, especially for the music as well. And the sound may be good. It's always dubbed in English. When it was first dubbed on the first 2 episodes were dubbed in English by Animego, like the BBC dub though. They said the dub was terrible though in the English, but I like the anime in its original Japanese with English subtitles, in my opinion, because that's how it is. And there's good cameos in other episodes of Urusei Yatsura, such as characters from Lupin the Third, and there's Godzilla, Kyoko Tanashi from Maison Ikoku. I think that's in episode 195 of Urusei Yatsura, which is the final episode. And then you have Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star as a cameo in Urusei Yatsura. That's pretty much of how you can find in this particular anime, if you ever watch the series fondly as well, accordingly. And then not only that, you also have, and that's how the character Lum can cook anything spicy though. She also can make devices though, and even Ataru tried a lollipop that is spicy as well. Not only that, the sound is good though. We all know the story though, and the music and the characters as well. The enjoyment, if you have never seen a classic anime like Urusei Yatsura, because it has like a love triangle ways of romantic comedy, sci-fi anime type feel from the 80s. Yeah, because this is one of the earlier works from Rumiko Takahashi. Mamoru Oshii only directed 106 episodes of the Urusei Yatsura anime TV series. And that's how it was until he directed the first 2 movies he did, were Urusei Yatsura Only You and Urusei Yatsura Beautiful Dreamer. And that's how he quits the production on that to work on Angel's Egg as well. But we'll come to that later on. Kazuo Yamazaki directed episodes 197 to 195 of Urusei Yatsura, which are the remaining episodes after Mamoru Oshii only directed 106 episodes of this particular anime as well. Yeah, come to think of it, this anime has run from like October 11th, 1981, and that's until its final air date was aired. I believe it was March 19th, 1986 of how this anime lastly aired. The enjoyment, I really enjoyed the anime because there's encapsulates over 195 episodes, and there's some segments in each episode of the Urusei Yatsura. And also the Christmas episode, Pitter Patter Christmas Eve, which I will cover that when I can revisit the Christmas episode of Urusei Yatsura on when it's around Christmas time. But overall, the Urusei Yatsura is a pretty known classic anime. It's really great, and I loved it. The characters are really great. There's some episodes of Urusei Yatsura I like. There's some I don't like episode 98, especially where Ran tries to clone Lum, and that one I don't like that episode. Don't like that episode at all. That's my opinion. But the Christmas episode of Urusei Yatsura, I thought was pretty good, though. And I liked the third episode, though, as well. Because that's just my opinion, as well, from what I understand. And also, my score for this anime on Urusei Yatsura, I'm going to give it a 10. Just a 10. As a score, though. Because I have heard good things about Urusei Yatsura because of the comedy and the romance and the some sci-fi and the references to Japanese culture of what you can find in this anime as well. I mean, if you have never seen Urusei Yatsura, give this a watch, because I highly recommend you to watch Urusei Yatsura. I hope you get it on if you have it on DVD, you can rewatch it, or you can watch it on YouTube if it's available there. One of the classic acclaimed anime from the 80s. Basically, it needs like a cult following as well for this particular, because I know it's based on the manga by Rumiko Takahashi, though. And not only that, the cast on there, on the Japanese cast for Urusei Yatsura, is basically the ones that you can recognize the cast from the other animes, such as the Dragon Ball series, Sailor Moon, Fist of the North Star, Dogtanian and the Three Muskhounds, Ranma Half, and Yu Yu Hakusho. Half of the Urusei Yatsura was done by Studio Pierrot, that brought you the Mysterious Cities of Gold and Yu Yu Hakusho. The half of the Urusei Yatsura, the remaining ones, are later animated by Studio Dean, which is known for their work on Ranma Half as well, from what I understand as well. But overall, because I loved this series, because even though I gave it a 10 out of 10 score for this particular anime, like this one as well. If you have never seen it, give it a watch, because I highly recommend you to watch it. If you have it on DVD, or you can watch it on YouTube if it's available on there. Again, because I highly recommend you some classic anime, though, because it's based on the creator who brought you Ranma Half and Inuyasha, Maison Ikkoku, your Rumiko Takahashi, for the satisfactory result was as intended as it seems. So that's going to be it for my revisiting on doing a re-review on Urusei Yatsura for today's episode here on Anime Retrospect for today, you guys. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's what I'm going to say for this one. This is the first time I wanted to revisit Urusei Yatsura. Hopefully I can revisit Urusei Yatsura again on discussing about Rumiko Takahashi anime in the future, like I'm going to give it in full detail about one of her works as well at one point, from what I understand, though, as in the future as well, from what I understand. And also, feel free to leave in the comments section below about Urusei Yatsura. What do you think of it? Be sure to subscribe to my channel, RurouniK95. Feel free to join my channel, especially if you're new to my channel. Smack the notifications bell button. Be sure to get notified as well. Keep it otaku for this re-review on Urusei Yatsura, because this is a brand new episode on Anime Retrospect. This is RurouniK95 saying thank you for watching my video. I'm glad you liked it. I hope you enjoy it. Hope to see you soon for the next video. Hope you have a great day. This is RurouniK95 saying stay tuned for my next anime re-review, because we're going to be doing an anime re-review on Devilman The Birth OVA. Until next time.